Hey everybody, welcome to the Adventist Hoops podcast. I'm Dustin, and today I'm here with Seth Fogg of North Tampa Christian Academy in Florida. Seth, welcome to the Adventist Hoops podcast.
Hey, thanks so much for having me. I appreciate it. It's
Seth,
exciting to be on.
you're the first high school guest that we've had. It's a lot of college players and coaches and ADs that we've had on. So wanted to talk to you because of the great basketball program that exists there at North Tampa. But I wanted to find out what your journey has been to where you're at now as the athletic director there.
Sure. I guess you could say I've always been around sports, my entire life. Just grew up playing was involved all the way up through high school. Ended up choosing not to do it in college. But really my journey kind of started to North Tampa was when I was in college. I went to college at Southern Adventist University in Tennessee. And I heard about this awesome new school that was supposed to be different from any other Adventist school that was being built down in Tampa, Florida. So I was really kind of perked. My interest was perked there. I was already going into education, knowing that I wanted to be an athletic director one day. So I kind of heard about it probably my freshman, sophomore year of college. As I went on, my athletic director from high school actually was the connection that I ended up having my senior year of college, right after I graduated, actually. Got in touch with them and gave me a call one day and said, "Hey, I'm down here at this North Tampa school. We've been here for a year, but I'm looking to switch careers, basically. And I think you'd be a great fit for what's going on down here." So that was my introduction. From then, I ended up coming down, getting an interview with it, and really loved it. And I've been here for 5 years now.
And where'd you go to high school?
Went to high school at Shenandoah Valley Academy
Okay,
in good old Virginia.
awesome. Now, Seth, I can't let this moment pass by without asking you about Southern Adventist University and the lack of an athletic program there. Um, One of our largest our largest undergraduate school currently in 2024 here, no competitive athletics, yet they're training people to go out and facilitate that. So
It's
as
true.
a exercise science, I'm assuming exercise science major
Right. Yep.
at Southern, what's the discussions like that you guys are having as you're going through your program, preparing yourself to engage students when you graduate in potentially in competitive athletics, and yet there's no intercollegiate, competition at Southern.
That's the interesting thing, right? The question of we don't have any interscholastic sports at Southern Adventist University. It's only intramurals. So really, as we're going through those classes, we do get a lot of field work. I had a lot of experience at a lot of private schools in the area. Like there's Seventh-day Adventists right there in Collegedale area. It's a huge private school with an awesome athletic program. I was able to go and have that experience with their basketball coach and be a part of their athletic organization. So it really comes down to more of you going out and having those experiences and trying to get connected with your community.
Yeah.
But at
I'm
the
not really
same
questioning
time,
like the program, like the quality of the program. I'm
yeah,
just saying it's sort of ironic that the school
weird, right?
itself doesn't have any competitive sport.
Exactly. Exactly. Yeah. And they've produced some, quite a few. Actually, my assistant AD down here now also went to Southern. So it's kind of ironic, that I've
Was
ended
that
up at
something
this
that bothered
program.
you guys as sports people that we didn't,
For sure.
yeah.
For sure. It's something that I had a lot of conversations with a lot of professors while we were there. Talking why do we not have sports? Why do we only have intramurals? And it kind of came back to that these interscholastic sports would take away from the intramural program. Maybe not. I don't know, but I'm a sports guy, so I think it can only benefit your school. So
Yeah. Well, somehow all these other colleges have intramurals and also have competitive athletics, but is
yeah.
it something that has there ever, to your knowledge? I mean, I really don't know much about Southern's history with athletics. I mean, has there ever been a serious push to create an athletic department?
From my knowledge, not a serious push to do it. I know they recently actually just changed their mascot. We were the Ducks forever, but now they're the Bears. I don't know if that is a push to create some kind of athletic teams there. I don't know, but not of my knowledge, really.
Seems like a good place to start. Like identify
Yeah,
a good mascot and then build everything around it. I like it.
right. And they have a really good high school. So Collegedale Academy is right there, part of the program, and they used to be just Kaya. So it was like a church league that they would do sports through. It wasn't actually through the school. Then within the last, it's probably been, I don't know, 7 years or so now. They actually, a new athletic director came in and they merged that program to the school. So now it's Collegedale Sports, which is great.
Eric Pardo is a good friend of mine, and
Awesome.
I should have him on here at some point to kind of talk about that. Yeah, it's a really interesting dynamic at Southern, just because, yeah, when the church is sponsoring the high school club team,
Yeah.
and it's more an issue with the university not allowing. Is that right? Am I getting that right? Or the school, maybe it's the Collegedale Academy not wanting there to be competitive sports, but then the church steps in and is the sponsor to that. I don't really understand it. He explained it to me, but it sounds like they're now a full-fledged participating member in their state interscholastic association. So that's great.
Yeah, they are. They have tons of sports going on there, and it's a shame because I feel like we're missing out on things like an awesome tournament, high school tournament for basketball that could be run there.
No, I just
With the
learned that there is at Collegedale. So
so
Eric,
Collegedale Academy does it, but they're I guess I
oh
meant in the
yeah,
sense they're not allowed to use the Southern's gymnasiums.
you're saying
So
Southern
he
itself could be hosting something.
Right,
Yeah,
exactly. So,
yeah,
you have 7 courts within a 5-minute walking distance. It could be one of the biggest basketball tournaments that you could run, out of Adventism in the country.
yeah,
Uh,
yeah,
but they do have a really good academy program on MLK weekend. They run a
yeah,
tournament there. So
yeah. I it wasn't on my radar. I learned about it this last year, and so hopefully we can provide some coverage to that one here in the future. Uh, I don't want to harp too much on. It's just that there's 2,000 kids there, and it could be a great
it could be.
athletic program. Could have a great basketball teams there, men's and women's program. Is it? I mean, we're kind of dancing, or maybe we're not dancing around it, but like, does it come down to donors and the philosophies of donors? Is that kind of something that you hear?
Definitely something that you hear, that the bigger donors for Southern are not for competitive sports, which could be, I would assume that, that's going to be your main cause there. If your biggest people giving aren't supporting that thing, then we're going to continue just to push intramurals. But
And look,
yeah,
I
it's
mean, with the success of Southern as an institution, like, why would you mess with that? I know there's some people
right.
that would love to have competitive sports there, but I mean, you can't really argue with the success of the school as a whole right now. So, in that sense, I understand. I get it. I get it.
Right. And I think that's a lot of their argument, right? They're like, we're still getting 2,000 or so kids that are coming onto campus without competitive sports. So why do we need them?
Yeah.
I'm like, well, what if it made it even more than 2,000?
Mm,
What if we could bring more in? What if the quality of your student culture? Because the biggest thing that I always heard there was like, as a student culture, what do we have to rally around? Sure,
mm.
we have our intramural programs, but we don't have those set events that we go to. We're not the Ducks, or we're not repping our mascot. We're not. So the culture, I think, would be helped in that sense too.
Yeah. Mm. Did you take, what did you take from your time at Southern into your job now? I mean, just, some of those things that you're talking about, school pride, some of the life lessons that can be learned from having competitive sports that I do feel like Southern is missing out on by not having a program. What are some of those things that you took with you to North Tampa? And by the way, was that your first job out of college?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay,
First job out of college. So this
awesome.
is this is the first spot I landed. Yeah, I mean, even with all that said, I had a great experience at Southern. I loved it. Really enjoyed our time there. And took a lot of relationships that I got during that time that has, changed afterwards and really kind of benefited. But as far as kind of where it landed me outside of that and things that I took, um, really focusing on in a lot of our classes that we took from our professors, the care that they preached, even if we didn't have those examples of competitive sports, the care that they wanted us to show our athletes and what we were going to present in our athletic programs. That it's not only about the competition, but hey, we need to make sure that our athletes are the best at academics, religiously, when their spiritual lives, their social lives, and what they're doing outside of sports, how they're giving back to their communities. So I took a lot of those things, I think, in my thought process going into this first job from experience that I had at Southern.
Beautiful. Let's talk about North Tampa. You kind of alluded to it being a kind of unique institution. I don't really know much about it. I've heard that Advent Health is a partner in some
Yeah.
capacity with the school. So what role does Advent Health play with the school?
Yeah, Advent Health is a partner. There's a few members from Advent Health as a part of our board. Um, Financially, there's not a big sponsorship there, but they are there to back our school. And they were definitely more involved in the first couple of years than they are now. We're pretty much completely self-supported by our tuition. Not even as much from conference or Advent Health as some other schools may be, receiving more conference pay and
Sure.
stuff. But they're definitely a supporter for our school, and they want to see the success of North Tampa. And it's different in the fact when it comes to Advent Health that we don't have a constituent church that we're a part of.
Okay.
So we have some members from different churches, as well as Advent Health, and then school board or school members that are all that make up our board. So it's kind of a collaboration of groups that come together to make up the school.
Just to be clear to anybody listening out there, North Tampa is a full-fledged school of the Florida Conference of
Yes,
Seventh-day
yes, it
Adventists.
is. Yes, it is. Yes, thank you. Yeah, and of the conference, obviously, there's conference members, Florida conference members that are a part of it as well.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. And so I can't remember if we were recording yet or not when you told me that you've been there for 5 years. So
Yep.
the school was founded recently in 2018, maybe? Is that right?
Yes.
Something like
Yeah.
that?
Yeah. 2018.
So it's brand new. It's a brand new campus, new facilities, all of that?
Yep.
Wow.
Yep. So we're just finishing our 6th year.
What was the basketball program like? I mean, only a year old. Maybe there wasn't one when you started.
Yeah. So after the first year, that was one of the first sports that they had year one. When they had basketball, and I believe they had volleyball and golf year one when I was not here yet. Second year we came in, basketball specifically was subpar, you could say. Just
Well,
very,
there's no
very
time to
average.
build anything with just a
There's
year.
it's
Yeah.
just new kids that just showed up to the school. Hey, let's make a team.
Yeah.
So definitely still in the building process.
What was that like for a young, recent grad stepping in to a very unique situation where it's a brand new school and in some ways it's exciting, I would think, because you have a clean slate to basically create the program that you want to build, and maybe a little daunting on the other end too, because there's no established tradition that you can kind of just fit into.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it was definitely a really cool opportunity because there was so much opportunity for growth. Hey, the sky's the limit. What do you want to add? What do you want to do? But yeah, at the same time, very scary. This is my first experience. What are we going to do? I don't even know what an athletic program fully looks like. This is my first experience with it. So being able to kind of take the reins on a program and really do what I want with it was a pretty awesome experience. But yeah, definitely scary at the same time.
Talking specifically about basketball, at what point well, let me ask this, like, was there a conscious decision, like, we want to build a super successful basketball program, or did it kind of just organically grow into what it is today?
Yeah, I think that basketball was kind of always the focus in a way. Even the first year, because the previous AD, he was a basketball guy. That's what he wanted to do. He started building up a middle school program that was working to feed that varsity level program. So I think in the beginning of it, basketball is definitely the main thought. It became more of that as we continued to work through it. By no means do I want to just be a basketball school, but it's definitely our point that we've become very successful in the last 6 years.
It's just interesting because a lot of Adventist academies have athletic departments that offer sports that their students can play. And then there's some schools that are very intentional about, or maybe it's certain figures that are in leadership positions or coaches or whatever that build a program. And there's a huge
Right.
difference, I think, between building something long term and just offering a sport that kids can like try out for and play. And then when the season's done, that's over.
Yeah, yeah. Because my vision has always been way more than just a sport for 4 seasons, and we'll come back to it next year when it starts up. Which, yeah, like you mentioned, is a lot of the way that a lot of Adventist schools are run. But really, we wanted to, and that's kind of where the addition of Zach Reynolds, our head coach, came on for basketball. Was he really wanted to bring in that program standard where it was year round. They're playing AAU ball together outside of the season. They're training, they're working out, they're doing conditioning in the fall, and they're running right back into the season. You're always with the same kids, which is going to make you a way better basketball team if you're spending 365 days a year with these same kids with a few additions each year.
And what was the connection to Zach in the beginning? How'd you meet?
Yeah. So this is his third season on. Um, the first year, my introduction to Zach was him just beating the tar out of my middle school basketball team. um, we had he was actually at a school probably about 30 minutes from here, coached the middle school team over there. They probably beat us by 50, and yeah, we just weren't that program yet, and we were still very young. And so after the game, he just came up, started a conversation with me. And we just kind of led that into, he's like, hey, I'm looking for a varsity team to start coaching. He's like, I've been involved in middle school. I've done training for basketball. I played overseas. And now I'd really like to take the next step and start coaching a varsity level team. And that's just kind of where it started and grew from there.
Hmm. Well, over the last 3 years, the program, the boys team as well as the girls team has, I mean, if anybody saw our power rankings for Adventist Hoops for this past season, the boys were the number one ranked team in the country for Adventist schools, and the girls were number three. Um, so it's certainly been a big transformation in a short amount of time. And
Right.
what do you credit that to with Coach Zach's involvement and the way that you've been able to support him?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, a ton of that is credited to Zach. I mean, he just lives, breathes, and eats making the teams better and investing his time in these kids. It's really comes from that. His focus has been to build the program and continue to do that each year. And so he's always doing basketball stuff. I call him, he's at a game. He's watching film. He's hanging out with the kids, talking about what they need to do next. It's just his dedication to the program that has really grown that side of it. And I appreciate you guys shout outs all the time. I see it on your Instagram. I'm always following it for girls and guys, but I appreciate you guys always shouting us out on that.
So part of the transformation of the basketball program there is the fact that you have some really, really good players on your team. And
Yeah.
part of that is, I'm assuming, Zach recruiting some of those players to come to your school. So what do you say to those people who would criticize the fact that, and I don't know the numbers, but that many of these kids are not Seventh-day Adventists? Does that come up? What do you say to people?
Yeah, I mean, it definitely does. It's conversations that I've had. Um, but what I always followed up with is, I mean, these are some of the best kids in the school, though. We always want to make sure that we're bringing in quality students. I mean, they're the ones that are having, in-depth conversations in class. They're the ones that are getting their work done. They're the ones that are always kind to the people around them. So it's I'm like, just go watch them. Like, just come to the school and watch how they interact with people. And they'll show you they have that Christ-like character. They may not specifically be Adventist, but as long as I'm bringing in kids that exude that Christ-like character, then, that's all the argument I feel like, I need.
I think
Um,
for some people, the criticism is like, well, what is Seventh-day Adventist athletics for?
right,
Is it for
right.
Adventist kids to have an opportunity? Are Adventist kids getting pushed out? What do you think?
Yeah. If anything, it's pushing our Adventist kids to get better.
Mm,
I still had, you know, let's see, out of probably four of them were Adventists that had continued to be here. So really half my team is non-Adventist. But it's still pushing it to that next level to, hey, if you want to be involved with this, we're giving you the ability to get better, still being an Adventist, because we're still offering the trainings, we're still offering the camps, we're still offering the AAU programs. You don't have to play on Saturdays because you're still part of North Tampa, but we're offering those things for you.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So we're still following the Adventists.
Yeah, well, and that's a great point that, a lot of advice that's given is, hey, go out and be involved with basketball in other formats. Well, if it's being offered all within one program and you're
Right.
being pushed to be better, then, I mean, actually, what better situation to be in where you are being able to participate in all these high level things without actually having to go elsewhere and worry about the Sabbath and things like that. So, um,
Yeah.
yeah, that's an interesting angle on
Yeah,
it.
because Zach is, and I think also the perspective on having a non-Adventist coach
Hmm.
has also been, a talking point.
Sure.
But Zach has really absorbed, I guess you could say Adventism, right? He's absorbed the culture of it all, to where he's telling me like, he's like, okay, I got it figured out already. I got a tournament that's coming up, but it's not on Saturday. They already told us we didn't have to play on Saturday. I worked around it. So he actively does that without me having to remind him at all. He's very aware of it to the point where he's talked to me and be like, hey man, I'd love to come to church with you. I'd love to come see what you guys are about. So it's also an outreach thing that I'm, bringing these people into our community where,
Yeah.
they can have a view of what we do.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think that's the first thing that people say, no matter if it's a college program or Adventist Academy, is it's an evangelistic opportunity. I think some
Right.
people think, well, that's just a cop out. Like that's an easy, excuse to use. But you've laid out some other good points of why it's important and why it's beneficial to Adventist kids to have some of the best players coming into their own program, as long as everyone is representing the school well and the church well. So,
Yeah.
um, Toni Bryant,
Toni Bryant.
he was listed recently, I think, as the 37th best player in the nation for his class of 2026. As an AD, what are your priorities in handling all the media attention and the recruiting visits that are happening at North Tampa?
Sure. Yeah, it's definitely taken off this year. This was not a thing even last year. With this year we had, I think, three media outlets that reached out to me that wanted to come do an interview with some of our basketball kids. And most of it is circling around Toni Bryant. So I think it's really making sure, one, that he's protected, in the sense that we're not exposing him for that coverage, right? That we're still remembering that he's a sophomore in high school. And that's always the first thought. We need to make sure we're taking care of the kid first and not this person that's becoming, someone that could be great. And then with your college recruits and stuff, I feel like, and that we've had a lot of conversations, me and Zach, with the kids. It's a lot of pressure that's put on these kids. When you bring a college coach in the gym, he's staring at you after you had 3 games that week, and now you got to perform to perform for this college coach. So once again, it goes back to taking care of the kid. We need to make sure we're not overexerting this kid for the things that we think are amazing and cool. But at the same time, it's been a fun ride for the kids and for all of us.
Well, we should say that on the boys' side, I mean, it's not just Tony. I mean, there's multiple
Right.
boys that are receiving, Division One looks, and pretty unique, pretty unique in Adventism to have this kind of attention at such a high level.
Yeah.
Um, uh, Recently saw that you guys secured a game with IMG Academy, which is not an Adventist academy. If people aren't familiar, it's one of the top prep schools for sports in the country. And so the boys will be playing them. I think it was in January, maybe,
Yeah. Let's say January 7th, somewhere
which
around
is a
there.
huge deal. I mean, how did you guys go about securing that opportunity?
Yeah. So we actually had played last year, and I believe the year before, we played IMG's lower level teams. So they have several basketball teams on multiple levels, all the way from their national team down to a basic high school level team, and they have teams that are part of high school or Florida High School Athletic Association, and teams that aren't. So we had kind of already started that relationship with them. And as our success has grown and our competitiveness of our team has grown, then we were able to reach out and get that connection for their higher level team to play.
Well, it's exciting. I mean, I hope we're able to somehow watch. It's going to be at their place, I assume.
Yeah, so we're actually got two games. So I just talked to Zach last beginning of this week, and they're going to come to our place for one game too. So
Oh,
we're going
wow.
down there for one, and we have girls and guys on both.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it'll
Wow,
be
that's
exciting.
exciting. Speaking of the girls, talk about this girls team and your great coach that has stepped in. How long has he been there now?
It's just his first year this last year.
This first, yeah, that's what I thought. So talk about just the girls side and how things have really picked up over the last year.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, that's really where we wanted to put our focus this last year, because we have had a really good job. Zach's done a really good job of developing our girl or our guys program, but we haven't had that person to step in and do that same thing for the girls. So we didn't want to take anything away from that. We wanted to make sure we were putting the same effort into our girls program. So yeah, they've stepped up this last year with their training, increasing their schedule, and we got a lot of really good eighth graders in, actually. So we have four eighth graders this year that three of them started. Three out of the four were on the starting lineup. So
All
yeah,
right.
we're
Coach played in Europe, I believe, too, and
he did. He played in Europe. He actually played at UAF, Atlantic, Florida. So he played down there for 1 year, and then played overseas for a couple of years as well. So, but he did a great job.
if people aren't familiar with Arianna Murray, talk about her.
Oh man, what a great kid! What a great kid! First, I don't think I've ever. I mean, my time is not that long of a time, but I mean, to see a female athlete perform like she does, handling the ball, attacking the basket, um, it's unbelievable. She has, but her training level outside of the gameplay, that's obviously where it all comes from. She's one of those girls that's always in the gym. She's always asking coach to open the gym, training, practicing. It's basketball all year long. But
Oh, by the
she's
way,
been
she's an eighth
phenomenal.
grader.
Yeah. By the way, she's just turned 14.
So
So
explain how, because if people aren't familiar, there's certain rules that allow for eighth graders to play, and it has something to do with the school size. Is that right?
it does. It does. So in 2A, so basically in Florida High School Athletic Association, um, and it's not just our eighth graders. So any of the middle schoolers, sixth through eighth grade, can play up on a high school level team, and it won't affect their eligibility for high school. So it's a pretty cool opportunity for them if they're good enough and developed enough to do that. But yeah, we're in the second level, so it's basically a 1 through 7A, and it allows our middle schoolers to step up and have that opportunity to play varsity for, theoretically, if they were good enough, sixth grade, they could play it for 7 years, which is
That's
crazy.
awesome. And what division is North Tampa in?
We're 2A.
And so one is smallest in Florida?
Yep,
Okay.
one's the smallest. That's more of like your rural areas. And then we're 2A, which is right around that like 200 to 400 range. So we'll probably always be in 2A. I don't see us getting out of that.
Yeah. Well, you guys have certainly had a lot of success, and one of the things that has been fun to kind of kick around is this idea of sort of an Adventist Hoops elite tournament where all of the top Adventist schools would come and play each other somewhere. Um, that's that doesn't exist yet, so I think the next closest thing is the Southwestern Adventist University tournament, and
Right.
that's a tournament that you guys have participated in. Girls were in the championship game. And you guys probably wouldn't say it, so I'll just say it. The game was like at 1 a.m. or something, right? And so you have
Holy
some
cow.
girls, some of these starters who are, maybe 13 years old still that are way, they're up way late and whatever. Anyways, they,
Yeah.
a young team. I think you guys only have one or two upperclassmen, maybe. So it's a really, really bright future. I assume they're planning to come again next year to the SWAU tournament. The boys didn't come last year. Are the boys going to come to SWAU next year?
I would love them to come out. The reason that we didn't do it last year is because we were invited to the Kevin Brown Tournament of Champions, which is in Peoria, Illinois. That has a lot of elite teams from around the eastern side of the United States that are invited to that tournament. A lot of NBA prospects have come out of that tournament. So we were invited to that at the end of November. So we ended up going to that, and we're only allowed to compete being in the state league in one out-of-state tournament.
Okay.
So with that, we're not planning on doing that this year. So I'd love to go back to Southwestern and play. I think it's an awesome tournament they have going down there. So I'd love to take honestly, because we took our JV, and our varsity girls, I'd love to take all three teams back this year and participate in it. So that's the hope. That's the hope.
Do you have a girls JV team?
We do not have a girls JV team right now. We're looking hopefully to start one this next season. We just haven't had the numbers in the past couple seasons, but we're hoping to, with our growth of our program this last year too, that will feed into this next season.
Yeah, it seems like there's not a lot of Adventist academies that have JV girls
I haven't
programs.
seen a lot of them.
Yeah.
And I wish it was, but we really only get we get 20 to 25 girls that come out for tryouts, and that's spread across middle school and high school.
Yeah.
So I'm like, I just never have the numbers. And so I'm trying to think of creative ways to get more kids involved, more girls involved, to play in that JV area.
I know our coach and AD at Sacramento, he's trying to start a JV girls program as well. Yeah, I mean, it's hard to develop when you may take a year off, if you don't make the
Right.
varsity team your freshman year. Um, it's great that a lot of schools are starting to have middle school teams,
Yeah.
but yeah, if you don't make varsity, then you might have to wait a year or maybe even two. So it's unfortunate.
Right. Or they miss out on that playing time because even if they do make the varsity team, they're sitting on the bench and participating in practice, but they're really never getting that game experience.
Right.
Where if they had a JV team, they may be one of the starters or at least play quite a bit.
Right. Right. Yeah. Well, I would love to see you at the Southwestern tournament. I'm hoping to get there one of these years. I still have never experienced it myself. So,
You've never
uh,
been there?
no, no.
Oh man. Oh
Yeah,
man. You gotta get over there.
I know.
It's a great tournament. It's a great tournament. James Tate does an awesome job down there.
And did you go to that tournament as a high schooler at Shenandoah?
I did not go to that tournament as a high schooler. We always went to the Andrews
Mm,
tournament. They went my sophomore year, they went, but they only took the seniors. So I wasn't able to go. So I never had that experience as a player. But I'm glad I've been able to have that experience as an AD.
yeah.
So
Well, hey Seth, I am at the end of all the things that I wanted to, ask you. Is there anything else that you wanted to let people know about what's going on at North Tampa or?
Um, I mean, we're just looking to continue growing. I know we talked a lot about basketball, but it really we're focused a lot more on our other sports now. Really getting volleyball going for the season, and then working on our golf program this fall. We actually have a PGA ex-PGA player that's our golf coach for this fall. He started this last year, so
Wow.
he's really working on elevating the program and just trying to continue to push these programs and get more kids involved and hopefully bring them to Christ. That's the end goal.
Mm.
So,
When you're talking about that, about your golf coach, it made me just think about the AD coach relationship. And I am curious, a lot of people don't think about the behind the scenes work that an athletic director does that supports a successful basketball program or other sports. So, what are some of those things that, maybe people haven't thought of that allows the players and allows the coaches to be able to operate freely or, have the support that they need to have a successful program?
yeah, I mean, it all starts right now in the coaches' search for my younger teams and for all the programs that we have because you always tend to have a few turnovers each year. So it's getting that selection of coaches going into the next year so that it doesn't burden down your varsity coaches to be like, hey, I need you to step down and coach a middle school sport. So it's getting that running over the summertime, investing in what uniforms are we doing, the fundraising behind that, where are we getting the money to get these new uniforms, warm-ups. And a thing we did this last year, we started with our basketball program, and I'm looking to continue it with our volleyball this fall. But really, I kind of got an idea just from going to professional sports games. I'm like, why can't our games look like that? Like, why can't we do the lights? Why can't we do the music? Why can't we do the videos? So that was what we did for this season at North Tampa. For our basketball program, we got a hype video that we played that has somebody come shoot where we played it as the kids ran out of the room for startings. We had like a light show that was going on at the same time we shut all the lights down. So I was like, why not make it an amazing atmosphere? So just trying to push that so that it's an easier sell for my coaches to get kids to come over here. You can come to North
Absolutely. I
Tampa
mean,
and have this.
I think that some people might scoff at that sort of thing and like, this isn't the NBA, let's just focus on the game. However, I personally love that because kids want to be involved with something that is fun, that, shows that there's like a lot of effort that's put into making it an enjoyable like thing that you can have pride in. And so there is one school in our league here in Sacramento that has always done that kind of a thing, and it's it's a lot of extra effort, but it goes a long way, I think, with the kids and how they respond to it. Do you guys actually have a screen in your gym?
We do. Our scoreboard is also half of it's a huge screen, so we
Wow.
always do videos for the kids, like with volleyball. I'll get them hitting a couple serves or spikes, and we'll throw that up there, like when they get ready to serve the ball, or if
Yeah.
they score in basketball, we'll throw their picture up there. Just to make the experience better for the kids, more
Yeah.
exciting.
Yeah.
Um,
That's really cool. I'm a
so yeah.
fan. I'm a fan. That's cool.
Yeah, well, I appreciate it. I think it's necessary. I think it's necessary. It's a good time. It's a good time.
Yeah.
These are memories they're going to look back on in high school and remember those moments. So if
Yeah.
I can create more of those, it's a fun time for me.
Yeah. I think the worry for some people is like they're gonna have an overinflated view of like how good they are somehow if there's like different, kind of more professional trappings, that are surrounding whatever they're like. I don't know. For middle school, do you guys have any sort of player intros, not video, but like do you do like any
Right.
announcing or anything like that?
We don't for middle school. I've kept
Yeah.
it to varsity
Yeah.
so far because I kind of want to make it. I'm trying to make it a goal for kids to work their way
Yeah.
up to varsity. Like, hey, if I get on varsity, I get the warm up suits and the video and the announcement. So it's almost a goal for them to
Yes.
get up there. But yeah,
Yeah.
we
Yeah. We don't
pray and we
either.
start the game.
Yeah. Yeah. That's what we do too for middle school. All right, man. Well,
Do you
hey,
guys have a whole announcement thing that you do? Just curious.
we
Just curious.
we no, I mean we just do like a traditional player starter, intro,
Nice.
just the announcer. We happen to have a professional announcer. Shout out to Justin Smith. I went to PUC with him. He's here in the Sacramento area, so we have a legit announcer for the games. His voice is amazing. But
That's awesome.
other than just having some music and doing intros, we have not really looked into doing any more theatrical. I don't want to call it theatrics, but like something
Well,
more.
it kind of is. It's
Yeah.
okay. Yeah, you can call that.
No, I mean it'd be fun. But what I was
It
going to
is.
say is, I think as long as kids, I mean it's kind of hard probably, but as long as kids are staying humble and
Yeah.
appreciating what it is and understanding that like this is just something fun, and this doesn't mean that you are like automatically better than anybody else that doesn't have this kind of an intro. And I think it's great. It probably is also a little intimidating for some of the visitors coming in, seeing that.
That was a big part that I honestly noticed. That first 5 minutes is real shell shock.
Mm,
Man, what just happened?
mm,
And
yeah,
especially if you got a quick team that's, our team likes to run. So it's a big shell shock on the other team. But
yeah.
yeah, Zach definitely keeps him humble. If he didn't, I'd probably draw back a little bit of this.
Hmm.
But you're 100% correct. As long as the kids stay humble in what they're doing, then
Yeah,
we're okay.
yeah.
So,
Cool. Well, hey, Seth, I really appreciate your time, and thanks for everything you do to represent Adventist basketball,
of
um,
course.
and Adventist athletics. And maybe when Southern Adventist University, finally has an athletic department, we'll talk again and just get your thoughts on it.
I would love to chat about it. I would love to chat. It's been fun being on here, man. I appreciate you inviting me on, and happy to come back on any other time. So,
All right. Thanks, Seth.
hey, thank you.